So I know many of you have your own Henrys, and Dr. Tefera's hope that Henry would be the first of many has proven true. Now many people in Sierra Leone with complex drug resistance are able to receive the kind of targeted, personalized TB care that they need. Henry also benefited from great effort by the NGO Partners in Health and by the Sierra Leonean Ministry of Health. Most of all, and I think Dr. Tefera would agree with this, he benefited from a mother, Aissatou, who simply never gave up on him. We have all seen the horror of TB stigma, as chronicled brilliantly in Honda Nkamgalan's book, Stigma. We've seen that it is common for people to be abandoned by their family and friends when they're diagnosed with TB, or for a TB diagnosis to render them purportedly unmarriable or unlovable. We have seen how the disease is not just a biomedical phenomenon, but a psychosocial one, which is why community organizations are so essential in the treatment and addressing of the TB crisis. As one TB survivor explained to me, fighting the disease is hard, but fighting the stigma is even harder. But Henry had Aissatou, who was unwavering in her support and brought Henry extra food whenever she could, which Henry credits in part to his survival. A reminder, as if we needed another one, that when it comes to TB and so much else, food is medicine. And so thanks to Dr. Michael and Dr. Jérôme and his mother, Henry is here with us today, a successful and hardworking college student. After very generously being invited to this gathering, Henry and his mother obtained passports. Because there is no Danish consulate in Sierra Leone, they had to fly to Ghana, surrender their passports, and wait for what was supposed to be 15 days. They decided to stay in Ghana rather than fly back and forth because it was cheaper. Aissatou was eventually denied a visa. These kinds of stories are common in impoverished communities. As I said earlier, many of my TB heroes are not here, either due to lack of funding or lack of visa. I do not mean to single out our host country. In fact, it's literally impossible for Henry and Aissatou to visit my own home country of the United States because of a total travel ban for Sierra Leoneans that has been issued by the Trump administration. And so Aissatou isn't here to tell you about how to love and save a kid with tuberculosis, even though hearing from her would be, I would argue, critical, because we learn the most about tuberculosis from the people nearest the experience of tuberculosis, those addressing stigma and providing proper nutrition, and so Aissatou has much to tell us. But it is thanks to Aissatou, as well as Dr. Michael and Dr. Jérôme, that Henry is here with us. And I don't just mean here with us in the sense that he survived, I mean quite literally here with us in Copenhagen because his visa was approved. So, Henry, can you come on stage for a couple of minutes and share some of your own experience? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I really appreciate to be in this place. It's really awesome to be alive again. It was not easy. I remember the word of Dr. Doom. I can see the wound drying, right? For me, that was a first real sign of restoration. Restoration in the sense that I will be back alive, coming alive again, right? The hope that within the week that the drugs or the remedy was arrived, I was really frustrated. It was my first experience of restoration. But the journey was not simple. It was a mysterious battle, one that really need unique fights. The right drugs is not available. Right, it was really pressure from my mom, Aissatou. At the point, I felt like a warrior without determination. I kept praying that I could not fall deeper into the hole because, honestly, I had nothing to hold on. Yes, indeed, my mom played a great role by providing essential foodstuff for me. Although there was a heartbreak, but I keep the fire burning. For over 3 years of my life, I have lived in a surrounding where comfort was not enough and hope was almost impossible to find. I was helpless, wondering why I was unable to live in a Laka and also in Devon Hospital since 5 years. I watched my best friend, die closer to me. It was really frustrating to see, thinking that I would be next. I watched my best friend die. It's really frustrating. At that moment, I got shocked deeply, yet my mom consoled me. My mom was there. My mom was trying to be that person that can stay during the storm. It's really hard for me, but I never ever forget the special person that is a hero towards my success in my health. Someone who remains a source of the light when all hope remained on source, right? And when all hope was lost, there was one person that stand when many warriors are going down, and I think I was the next warrior to go down. It was really sad. I tried to keep on going because today is the day of restoration. A big thanks to Doctor. Yes, a big thanks to Doctor because it is a hero that comes from Ethiopia around Addis Ababa, if I correct, who got inspired by our loving mom, right? Providing solution because she is his only mom. This doctor not only provides solution for a mom, but also provides solution for the world today. As I'm starting talking to you guys, we are saving thousands of people life in silence because of this one man that tried to provide our one solution that helped me stay alive again. This person is an individual who was grown up in Ethiopia and also loved by his father that supports him to pursue his dream and achieve the great day of saving people's life. Since that day, it was really inclusive, and that only person is Dr. Durum. Really appreciate that. Since my childhood stage, I have never enjoyed my life like I do now. All thanks to him, Dr. Durum. Now I have gained growth and very active at my school journey. And now I am in the university. I'm trying to finish my course next year. Before then, I was unable to record everything I studied on my low level since primary school. When I tried to study, nothing remained in my brain. But through the help, after I got from the hospital back to school, I started recording everything I studied, which gave me a powerful performance in the previous days I'm in the university. In a world where everyone is running away from me, there was an individual who stand by me and ready to go down with me into the hole without finding where to hold. That person is great. She stands with confidence, with resilience. Pain arise, she cried. She sell everything to help me find somewhere to hold. Amazing person is my goal, my comforter, my inseparable bond. You who was also trying to see that I am alive today. She was born on the 13th of May, 1968, and I was able to be in this world because of her. she grew up in an amazing environment, which is Bond District in Sierra Leone. Right? Later, she started struggling with her sister because her sister took her from the village to do house chores, lying to their parents that she will take care of her to be in the school, but no way. Right? She started suffering that person, and she dropped out from school, helping his sister to sell different things. But she was really amazing. That big person, I really want you guys to give an hand of applause for my mom as a team leader. And finally, it's really amazing to see my mom happy again, to see that I'm restored because of this issue. She cries, she spent everything, but thank God she is finally happy. So big thank you to our partner here, TB Fighters, and also my father John Green for inspiration and bringing up the decision to save life in the world. Dr. Michael, I recognize you, you are great. The first time I visited the hospital, Raka was really frustrated, but he provided a motivational word for me and my mom, and we keep the fire burning. Don't forget to be handsome. That is the goal. That's the goal.
Thank you very much.
So as Henry said, Aissatou should be here. And the fact that Aissatou isn't is a real injustice, and I would argue that Aissatou's visa woes actually have something to do with lung health. First, TB and visa injustice are both a reminder that poverty is expensive. I incurred lots of expenses associated with trying to get Aissatou here, so did the conference itself, but that's nothing compared to the cost for Henry and Aissatou. They lost not just money, but the most valuable commodity of all, time. Time for school and work, time for building relationships. They lost years of life to tuberculosis. Henry and Aissatou were separated except for her visits for nearly 3 years due to Henry's TB, as he told you. And they lost time again due to visa injustice. Poverty is expensive. It takes more time and money to navigate systems that are built to exclude the poor. I spoke to a mother recently in the Philippines who spent over $100 to get her son diagnosed with tuberculosis, money she didn't have that only drove her further into poverty. Time and well-being lost to tuberculosis is expensive. Secondly, lung health and visas are connected because visas shape not just who gets to talk at the highest level of about the TB crisis, but also what kind of conversations we end up having. I think this is why, for example, we spend so much time worrying about corruption in poor countries when it comes to aid, but do not spend as much time worrying about corruption in the form of price gouging when it comes to aid. I think this is also why we have so many resources for diseases that commonly affect rich countries and do not have resources for tuberculosis. All of us know, from private enterprise to big donors to researchers to clinicians to, yes, even young adult novelists, all of us know that all human lives have equal and immense value, and it falls to us to build better, more inclusive systems that reflect that truth. Because right now the systems just don't reflect that reality, as Aissatou and so many other absences remind us. So I'm a rank amateur in a sea of experts, but what I do know about is story, and in addition to being a biological process, this disease especially is also a story. Diseases are the story we tell about them and the people living with them. In 19th century Europe, tuberculosis was seen as an ennobling disease, one that made you brilliant and beautiful. As John Keats was sick with TB, his friend Percy Shelley wrote him, "This consumption is a disease particularly fond of people who write such good verses as you have done." Although my friend Henry is also a poet, as you just heard, nobody told him he got TB because of his excellent poetry. Nobody told him consumption, I am aware, is a flattering malady, as Charlotte Bronte put it. Now we imagine tuberculosis much differently, but we are still inevitably, humanly imagining it. And those stories shape who lives and dies of tuberculosis. When we tell ourselves that the story that some human lives matter more than others, we come closer to living in that world. And when we tell ourselves the story that all human lives must be treated and valued equally, we come closer to living in that world. So last week's global tuberculosis report contained heartening news, I suppose, a 3% reduction in death and a 2% reduction in burden year over year, which is higher than we could expect just from increasing standards of living. The burden of DR TB is also decreasing, albeit slowly. And that's all evidence that the work that's being done by the people in this room matters, as is the fact that since I graduated from college, you've helped reduce tuberculosis deaths by around 50%. But what do I tell the young man in the Philippines who's struggling to access treatment, whose mother lays awake at night worrying about him as he coughs near his 5 siblings? That we are making progress, just not for you? There are exciting promises on the horizon, of course. Vaccines, new drugs, very soon better near point of care tests, but so many are still left out. In Henry's country, the goal was to have 90% of people on TPT. Currently, they're at 2.9%. Our efforts when it comes to preventing and treating and especially diagnosing TB in children remain woefully under-resourced. And the overall funding pullback is a crisis for our ability not just to address the global TB problem, but even to analyze and comprehend the size of that problem. So I'm encouraged that we've been making progress, but I'm reminded that none of this progress is guaranteed and all of it is too slow for the people who need it most. I'm a little tired of hearing when discussing funding cuts that every crisis is also an opportunity. That's easy for me to say. My job isn't on the line. My life isn't on the line. Yes, a crisis is an opportunity to reimagine global health, to perhaps build back better and so on, but it is also a crisis. And on every level, it is a man-made crisis. As Paul Farmer liked to say, it is true that resources are limited, but they are less limited than ever before. We have plenty of money as a global community, not just to end tuberculosis, but to end inequitable access to healthcare more generally. It would cost hundreds of billions, but of course we have hundreds of billions. It would involve sacrifice, but what is more worth sacrificing for than the well-being of our fellow humans? Imagine a world of active case finding where people are not so sick that they come into a hospital to be diagnosed with TB, where their risk of post-TB lung disease is minimized. Imagine a world where their family doesn't get sick because they can access the preventive therapy that I would access no problem. Imagine a world where the burden of TB is about the same in every country, because why the hell shouldn't it be? But yes, I know, we are not currently in that world. We are currently in a world of more constrained resources, where the burden of TB could rise owing directly to decisions made by governments, mostly my government. And where so many of you, I know, are mightily struggling to find a path forward that prevents regress, let alone that fuels continued progress. On behalf of my country, I want to say that I am sorry and also that I am ashamed. It seems small-minded, that's because it is small-minded. It seems punitive, that's because it is punitive. It is a mark of shame on the United States, which has long been a leader in global health funding. And yet, this will not be the final chapter in the history of our fight against tuberculosis. 2,000 years ago, the great physician Hippocrates told his students not even to try treating consumption. It would only make them look like bad healers. 200 years ago, we still disagreed as a species over whether TB was contagious or inherited. 20 years ago, we had no widely available molecular tests for TB. I inevitably think of the history of TB as a long story that ends today, because today is the last day that we've lived through together. But today is not the last day. Today is not the end of the story. Today is the middle of the story. And in many ways, it is a heartbreaking, infuriating moment in the story, but it is not the end. We have better tools than ever and more coming. We have commitment from the people in this room and many more people. We have a disease that is preventable and curable, and today is not the end of the story. The end of the story is when TB is eradicated as a public health threat in our world, and I believe I will live to see that end, thanks in large part to your work. Thank you.
Great job, Great job.